we didn't really know. Social circus, even circus, I had no background of it. But I knew that it is the right thing to do for so many children who have suffered so much of so many years. And what they need more than any education, any safety, any medicine, more than anything, is the art of being happy, joyful, hopeful, knowing and learning their bodies. The healing powers, they are all in the body. We don't need to bring it from the Western psychotherapy. The bones of the bodies, all these muscles, they talk to each other in very small little mini movements, and they are teaching each other solidarity. They are teaching unity, humanity, respect, and a lot of things that no word can explain.
Welcome to the StageLink podcast, your access and connection to the live performing arts. In this podcast, you'll hear from some of the industry's most inspiring people from around the globe who create magic on stage and backstage. Our guests share their knowledge, passion, and the real stories of how a show comes together. We hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the StageLink podcast. My name is Anna Robb, and today we're talking with David Mason. For David Mason, laughter is an antidote to war. In 2002, he founded the Mobile Mini Circus for Children, MMCC, in Afghanistan, dedicating his life to giving young Afghans an opportunity they've never had before, to explore their creative potential through a convergence of mind and body. Since then, MMCC has been developed by creating a unique pedagogy and infrastructure for supporting children of war. MMCC Global is expanding and now has 40 social circus teams in Afghanistan, 5 in Bangladesh, including 3 in the Rohingya refugee camps and 3 in Ethiopia. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anna.
I love what you do. I want to know what inspired you to start the Mobile Mini Circus for Children back in 2002.
The very start of it was 11th of September 2001 and the World Trade Center and what happened in the US and the new possibility of having something done in Afghanistan. So it was a new era. You had the post era, the time that Afghanistan and Afghans suffered a lot of war and depression. And then the new era was giving the opportunity to do things. And I took it. So it was, to me, it was a lifetime chance and it was a must. There are many questions I didn't ask. I just did it. And most of the things that we did was we didn't really know. And social circus, even circus, I had no background of it. But I knew that it is the right thing to do for so many children who have suffered so much of so many years. And what they need more than any education, any safety, any medicine, more than anything, what they need is the art of being happy, joyful, hopeful, and knowing and learning their bodies.
And you just said that you had no background in circus. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, so that's correct.
So what did you bring people who knew circus in? How did you bring the troupe together to do this?
First of all, even the social circus, we did not know it even. I knew circus, I had seen it in the TV, but the social circus, I didn't even know it, know nothing about it. I knew nothing about it at that time. So what happened was that intuitively, I knew what they need is fun. It is not a normal, regular, blank fun. They needed something bombastic, fantastic, loud, something to spark, to spark them to, if a body is very sick and is in coma, it is really sick, then medicine doesn't work. At that moment, you need a electroshock. You really need something very strong to shock the body and bring them to conscious. And the only thing that can do is circus, a big, loud, funny, huge, music, clowns, noise, props. That is now I have the words for it. At that time, intuitively, I was just convinced, and it was quite obvious for me. That's what they need. And that's what we should bring them. Although I had no experience, no skills, no education about that. But that was quite obvious for me.
Mm. And so what, in that sense, how did you recruit these people and what was that first journey or foray into Afghanistan like?
So the first thing I did, again, referring to the little talk we had at the beginning of this chat, I started trying to do it the right way, to go to UNICEF, to Save the Children and different organizations and explain to them what the children need. And that was the wrong way, although it appeared at the beginning that it must be the right way. It wasn't. So I had to go to Kabul, to the capital, and started part of the time working voluntarily center, a charity. And I had all the freedom and options. There were plenty of children and places, and they gave me the possibility to make the very first experiments. And the very first experiments was making costumes, bringing music, I could only juggle with three balls, and making our own stilts with lots of mistakes. So we just use our own creativity and try to figure out how things work. And we basically from the scratch, from nothing, made the very first shows. We made the very first props, music and educational performance, because what the fun was some basic life skill education, like about hand wash, about hygiene, peace education. Later, many other subjects were added to our educational performances, like malaria prevention, landmine awareness, first of all, or the most important one, and recently COVID-19. And it became a kind of regular, integrated part of our activity to have a whole 1 hour of performance, circus performance. But within that, we had 10 to 15 to 20 minutes of educational performance included. And those educational performances were very impactful. It didn't only engage children cognitively with the messages of the performance, but emotionally, they were engaged. And that's how it brought plenty of good performances with lots of educational messages to nearly 4 million children. Wow. As an example, for example, the hand wash message, we had 2 huge hands, one white, silky, beautiful, that sometimes me at the beginning, I was inside the hand, dancing on the stage, and an ugly, dirty hand, and the interaction between the two, and the music, and the circus movement, the kind of movement and stick steps that you have in circus. These all together help to make the message something very trendy that in the entire country, it made a very big impact for many children.
That's amazing. And so the impact of seeing this 1 hour performance and like, just to put context for our audience, was this something that you did in what kind of cycle, and did you move around, or how did you get those groups of children together to come and witness that?
We have had, I would say, 3 distinct era of our progress. So we started with having many children to participate in the workshops, and we had adult artists trained in different skills to both perform for the children and then go from province to province and perform for them and make one social circus workshops. And again, at that time, we didn't know even the name of social circus. So this is the first era of MMCC. The second era was the time that we had centers in different places, and we had modified containers. We call them funtainers. And then we had children artists, about 400, who had weekly practice rehearsals. And then at the same time, They had many performances for the other schools. And plus the mobile team that were going to different schools and venues to make performances. Then the last 3 years, we changed it all radically. And the reason is the return of Taliban and the security, and we had to change. We had to make this radical change. In the new era, what we have is a very strong social circus pedagogy, MMCC's social circus pedagogy, by which we train and capacity build youth, single youth, who are identified in different places, who become the team leaders. And these team leaders, they have regular activities. They have no place, no rent, no transport. They basically have nothing, but they have our support by some equipment, mentoring, capacity building, and they have their own children. They get t-shirts, they have their own logo, their own names, and they become social circus of their own. So independent or kind of semi-independent, serving their own community. And plenty of the problems they have, they find a way to solve it for themselves. We have almost 40 of those teams in Afghanistan, 5 of them in Bangladesh, 3 of them in Rohingya refugee camps, and we have 3 teams in Ethiopia. And in the link that you just checked, you can see each one of them on their Facebook, on their social medias. You can see how often they do it, and they have their own freedom. They get inspiration every Wednesday. We have our own forum of Zoom meeting, talking with them and helping them in different ways, capacity building them. But they are at the same time independent, and they are learning more from us, and they are doing much more than you're asking them.
It's fantastic. What was your expansion to Ethiopia and Bangladesh? I mean, how did you know people in that area? Did you forge those relationships? And why those 2 countries?
The main reason for Bangladesh is, of course, the Rohingya children. So you have nearly 1 million Rohingya families, most of them children, in Cox's Bazar, in a huge complex of refugees. And this is very much, they need it. They are all traumatized. They need fun. And what we have accumulated as capacity and skill and became expert of is working with the children who are traumatized. Like in Afghanistan, they have a very, very difficult life. So that was quite natural to go to Bangladesh for Rohingya kids. And we did it already in 2018 when the war started. For Ethiopia, it has been more a way of figuring out how to expand what we have, because what we have reached in Afghanistan is in many ways so unique and so extremely good, both the pedagogy and the system of expansion that it deserves to serve many more children in need in different countries. So far, Bangladesh and Ethiopia, but we are looking for finding ways, partners, volunteers, and use the same expansion system to multiply, to incubate many more social circus teams in other countries who need it.
You're not stopping. It's amazing. What are some of the biggest challenges? I mean, you are in these areas with so much need and so many children that need this kind of inspiration and participation in social circus. So there must be some challenges in this journey. So tell us.
I think that the biggest challenge we have always had and still have is convincing the establishments, the organizations and institutions that what the children need is that kind of strong healing, that natural healing process that is already in the body, and all what we need is just to waking it up instead of making them sit there. And the formal education is fine, but what is more important for children of the world is to educate the right approach to the life, which is very difficult for them, more difficult than any other children. And the establishment, the Western education system believes that education is only in the schools, in the classes, and it is cognitive. And I understand where it comes from, because many of the people who wrote the books or read the books, went to the universities, got the degrees, they themselves have difficulty to understand how physically being educated, being fresh, being in contact with your body, being able to juggle, because that juggling is not just juggling. It is to juggle. You need to be in total balance with your breathing, with your nerve system, with your entire body. And while you are juggling, while you are having a few balls or clubs on the air, there is no space for any traumas. There is no space for being worried about this and that and war and government and guns and things like that. That's, for many children, that's their best moment to get in touch with their childhood, with their pure who they are as body. And I believe that the healing process or the healing powers, they are all in the body. We don't need to bring it from the Western psychotherapy. What we can do is just provide the possibility, the skills for the children to find it in themselves and waking it up. So our biggest challenge, convincing the academical and the powers, the institutions, big organization, that what we do is much, much, much more than making children laugh. Although that by itself a big achievement, the biggest education is the education children learn how to laugh. That shouldn't be undermined. But still, our challenge is convincing the academic that what we do is not just bringing laughter to children, but bringing a different approach to life.
Yeah, there's so much value in that, isn't there? And even before you said it, my mind was thinking is like giving them space to be a child in that environment. If there's so much trauma and war and outside influence, there's not a lot of space for that kind of joy. And a lot of us had such an innocent childhood compared to that, and we take that no experience in circus, but what is your background and what is your history? Do you have other performing arts experience, or what was your journey towards this from your own personal upbringing and passions?
My upbringing, I traveled a lot. I had a difficult childhood. I think that has contributed a lot to what I later did with Social Circus and the children in Afghanistan. And then I traveled a lot. I traveled over 60 countries, and I was familiar with Afghanistan already. So these were helping me. But in terms of art, I knew Argentino tango and I knew salsa. For some time, I was teaching those, and I knew some Tai Chi and things like that. And then I gradually could realize that there are much more in physical art than just entertainment. I realized first when I made a documentary about blind salsa dancers in Cuba. I did that because after some times in Denmark, when I was dancing and teaching the salsa, I realized that when the people really enjoy it, they close their eyes. So there is no choreographed dance. It is pure improvisation, but somehow the bodies, the physicality of the partners talk to each other, exchange the power the way Tai Chi does, that you don't need any choreography. You can improvise. And then I thought, let's go to Cuba and see the blind dancers, how they do it. So I have always been very fascinated by this. And then I found similar stuff in Social Circus, which is when all the interactions, but it is social. It is not a circus. It is not a single person juggling for himself. It is always in pair or in group. And that connectivity, that physical connectivity has more exchange of information and healing than any speech, any talk. As a simple example of it, I can tell you when the boys in Afghanistan across different ethnicities, they are making a human pyramid, standing on top of each other, 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, and make a big pyramid. It is not art. It looks nice and artistic, but what it is a mega communication between the bodies. And these bodies, no matter if you are under somebody and you need to tolerate and at the same time harmonize and the heavy weight on your shoulder and the bad smell of the food. So there are a lot of things happen here that makes you tolerant and humble. At the same time, if for those who are on the top of the pyramid, they need to be nice to those who are standing on. And I have very few words for this, but the bones of the bodies, all these muscles, they talk to each other in very small little mini movements, and they are teaching each other solidarity. They are teaching unity, humanity, respect, and a lot of things that no word can explain. No blackboard, no books can teach children, because even if you cognitively understand it, then that understanding needs a memory. You need to memorize it. And in the time of war, the time that you need it, you're not using your memory. You use your body. So the information that somewhere, I don't know how, somehow it is printed in the body by Social Circus is much deeper with the children and much better in access for the children. And it goes both in terms of social skills, being nice together, being social, being communicative, being friendly, all of those. But also we use the educational shows with the same principle to, for example, to make children to not like and have an emotional, reflective feeling towards the malaria. But that has to be malaria mosquitoes. So that has to be in a way integrated in the show to make that effect. Yeah.
So good. Are they always people within Afghanistan, or are you bringing people from outside in to participate? And can people help? How can people contribute to MMCC if they were interested in participating?
So far, we are in Afghanistan, but also we are in Bangladesh and Ethiopia as well. We have had volunteers, and as you see, we have just had Clowns Without Borders for almost a month. We host them in the Rohingya camp and in Bangladesh in the ghettos and we look for volunteers and partners, both partners like in those who have camp, those who have schools or children who need having our teams, the Social Circus teams, and we need volunteers to help us going to these places and contribute with their skills. We have made it much easy, extremely easy to make Social Circus for the children in need in remote places like Rohingya camps in Bangladesh. The, physical art and healing children by physical art is the way we do it with the combination of both our pedagogy and the expansion system has made it very easy and very cheap at the same time.
And if people have I'm just thinking while you're talking, because I work on shows and there's sometimes where we have resources or costumes or little props that we don't need anymore. Is there a place or a space for people to donate things that could be used in the social circus?
Before that, yes, definitely. We need all of those. But before that, on top of my list is the focal points, people, places that can collect for us from surrounding cities or countries. Otherwise, one by one, sending to Afghanistan or to Bangladesh is a difficult
Chaos.
operation. So, and the second thing we need is some kind of transport. So these two on top of my list. So a way to transport it, focal point of people who collect the equipment, and then comes the volunteers of any kind. Volunteers on the field, volunteers as fundraiser, promoters, different skills, and mentors of our teams in these countries. Yeah.
I love that. What's the most rewarding experience of this project for you that you've, maybe that's too hard to answer that question. There's probably been a lot of rewarding moments for you, but is there one that stands out the most?
I think the network expanding, and I'm getting on their social media, I can see so many nice photos and videos every day. And once a while, I can see that they have become better and much better than what we capacity build them for. Like we teach them things or facilitate, contact them or connect them to different donors. And then we can see that they have got the point and they take it 1-2 more steps further. That's fascinating. As an example, the network you see on their social media, I asked them, please friend with all of my friends, please contact all of my friends. And this way they can expand their network. Then I can see that how they gradually competing us in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
It fascinates me.
I just found your social media Instagram now. I'm looking it up now. There's some wonderful pictures on here. So for anyone on our audience that wants to follow, it's MMCC Global on Instagram. And there's some great, great pictures here. And you know, it is really visceral, the joy of all of these pictures, you know, of those children. It's quite captivating to take a look at it. So well done on this initiative and this project, and what a journey for you and your team to be able to bring such joy and laughter to people. So thank you for that. Thank you for your gift to the world.
Thank you, Anna. I hope one day you and also the audience could come and see it for themselves. It's really so full of joy. It is so amazing to see the contrast of that background, those experiences, the traumas, and wherever they come from, to learn about these physical arts and create beauty, create harmony and joy and fun.
That's right. And so for anyone who wants to look up their website, it's mmccglobal.org. And I'm sure you can find ways to participate, join, and help out through that website. Is that correct?
Yes, please. We need that. Yes, please.
Yeah. And where else do you want to go? You're in Ethiopia, Bangladesh, Rohingya, and Afghanistan. Where else would be on your dream list?
Unfortunately, there are many more places in war and need. And we, depending on our resources, the funds and the volunteers, we choose where to go. But there are many, many children in the world who need social circus. And bring it to them is not so difficult. It doesn't have to be so difficult. It is all about the question of how we do it. And in 24 years, we found out how to do it. We developed a system that is now working even in Afghanistan with all the restrictions it has for the girls, for example. And if we can do it in Afghanistan, then we can do it anywhere in the world.
For sure. David, thank you so much for spending some time with us on the StageLink podcast. I truly appreciate your time, the impact that you are having on the earth and these people in these much needed countries. So kudos to you and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you for listening to the StageLink podcast. StageLink is an online platform that gives you access and connection to the live performing arts. As a guest, you can read about live performing arts from across the globe and gain insights from performers and artists on stage and all the amazing people who work behind the curtain. If you are an industry professional, StageLink Pro offers jobs, networks, and career support tools, and you can build your own professional profile on the site. As a StageLink podcast listener, you are eligible for 20% off your StageLink Pro membership. Visit us at stagelink.com and when joining, use the code SLPodcast. StageLink, that's StagelYnc.com.